Hi, it's Jen from Navigating Baby Loss, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. I know that handling rude comments after a stillbirth can be incredibly painful, and it often starts right from the very beginning, sometimes even before your baby's delivered, right in the hospital. These comments can come from a stranger, your family, your friends, your partner, but no matter who it comes from, they can really hurt. I talk about this with my clients all the time, and I've worked through this myself too. Today, we're going to talk about why people say the things they do and what you can do about it. I also have a free 3-part video series called Why No One Understands Your Pain After Stillbirth, if this is a situation that you really need a little extra help on. You can click the link right below and download that for free right now. Today, we're going to talk about those stinging comments that make your grief feel even heavier and how they can strain your relationships with really important people in your life. I think what's so misunderstood is that we think people should feel how we feel, and not everyone does. No one raises us to talk about grief or how to understand grief or loss, especially when it comes to baby loss. It's especially sensitive, and no one wants to talk about it. So, whatever you're going through right now is normal. And just know that it's really because there is so much emotion in it and nobody knows what to do with it, not even you. And it's can sometimes feel natural to want to distance yourself from those who don't understand you. I really want to caution you though to not isolate yourself because that just adds another layer of pain. So, we're going to talk a little bit about setting boundaries today too, and having some things ready to go when these situations come up because they're going to. Why do people say things like this? You know the things, right? At least you can have another baby. At least you're young. I had someone tell me, thank goodness you didn't get attached to them, which I thought was a really strange one. There are all kinds of comments. God needed your baby more than you. All kinds of really confusing comments. Sometimes we even want to let them in, like, oh, yeah, maybe that was the reason, or yeah, I suppose you're right. But none of it feels good. Really, they don't know what to say. So they say something awkward and then it makes you uncomfortable. So really, no one feels great in this situation. Unless you're speaking to someone who's been through it themselves, they're likely not going to understand anything about how you're feeling or what is right or wrong to say. And even your partner, in their effort to make you feel a little better, might say some things that are hurtful. So I'm going to teach you how to be a little bit prepared for some of these conversations so that you can go into them and let people know when they're saying things that are hurtful, that you really just are not up to talking about it at this time. The first thing is to be prepared. And which is hard sometimes because a lot of times these comments come at you in the most unexpected times and the most unexpected moments, and they feel like a knife has stabbed you in the chest. That's why it's really helpful to have a few simple, respectful responses ready so that you don't have to feel like you're caught off guard or have to think on your feet in these tough moments when your emotions just want to take hold. The first part is decide whether or not you're sharing your story with this person who is saying this comment to you. Is this something that you want to share with them? Is this someone that you have that relationship with that you want to tell them or that you want to show them how they can say something helpful to you? Or is it someone that you're just going to let them say what they want to say? You're going to let it roll off because they obviously don't know anything about what you're feeling. And you remember that you don't owe an explanation or the details of your story or anything to anyone else. You get to decide who gets to know what and practice saying something like, I'm not ready to talk about that, or I'd rather not discuss it right now. You're allowed to set boundaries to protect your own heart. Remember, we talked about boundaries. This is a really tough one because you're hurting and you, sometimes you have to set boundaries with the people that are close to you because they're just not being helpful. And until you are in a place where you can let them know what they can do to help you, you may need to set some boundaries and keep your distance for a while. I want to caution you about keeping too much distance because isolation is very real for stillbirth moms. It's not helpful, and we can really get into a cycle of isolating more and more and more to try to avoid people and try to avoid situations. And that's not always helpful either. So I would rather that you try to teach the people in your life what they need to do to help you. Sometimes it's really helpful to shift the conversation to something like, I appreciate your concern, but I rather focus on something else today. Or I understand that you may not understand how I'm feeling, but right now that's not helpful, what you just said. It's okay to say that and let people know because society does not know how to handle grieving moms. Change the subject. That's such a good one. Just change the subject, move on. It gives the person a signal that you're not willing to talk about it and you don't have to really say anything. So move away from it. And if you physically have to move away from it too, that's okay. You get to decide what is right for you and never feel like you have an obligation to explain anything to anyone. No is a complete sentence. I'll share a bit of my own experience. After I lost my twins, I went back to work as a hairstylist. I couldn't wait to be back to work and around people that I loved and I knew cared about me. But what I wasn't prepared for was the barrage of questions that came over and over all day long. And so the first few days were really exhausting and heavy. I felt like I had to retell every detail all day long to everyone. And then they would offer their helpful advice about how I could just have another baby or that there must have been something wrong with my babies and that's why they died and all of those things. What I realized after a short time was that I didn't need to do that. I didn't need to share my details with anyone. I really just, so I created a little canned response of what I told anyone who asked, and then I moved on. I became a master at changing the subject. So that was really something so helpful. I learned real quick because people's curiosity will keep you going as long as you're willing to keep going. I encourage you to decide who gets to know what, how much do they get to know, and is it anything that you're willing to discuss at all? And what else can we talk about right now? I think the most important part of all of this is just remember that what they say does not define you. That is not your truth. They may say things that make you feel like you should be grieving in a certain way, that you should not be grieving anymore. You should be over it. You should look forward with positivity, look back with positivity. There's all kinds of things that they say in their attempt to try to help you or fix you or make you feel better, but that's not your truth. You are working through something so tragic that many people will never understand. And so it's okay to take control of the situation. You don't have to justify your feelings, you don't have to justify your timeline or your grief to anyone. Know that you are doing your very best to navigate an incredibly difficult time. So I hope that this gives you a few ideas about how you can navigate the people in your life who will be asking you questions and how you can best help them help you. It's likely that not everyone's going to understand what this feels like, and that's okay. Only you know what you're feeling and what you need to do to get through and who gets to be in your life to support you. Be sure to download the free video series if this topic resonates with you, because I promise that there's so much in there that's super helpful. So you're not alone in this, and I'm here to support you every step of the way. I'll see you next time.